Alright, we have this one. Genshin VA for Paimon just got even crazier by Hei. I have been following this whole SAC-AFTRA thing for, like, when it originally started. Well, actually not when it originally started, but when it got really heated. I've been here for a while, I've been keeping up with everything, and I must admit, it gets weirder and weirder every single time. The last time we checked, for some odd reason, current update is that the Paimon VA completely crashed out over saying their TikTok video was AI, but then she said she meant another video where it was a AI Paimon saying things, which does not add up. It just makes no sense, at least to me. And that essentially somebody confirmed, I forgot who it was, Ref made a video about it. Somebody confirmed that it is technically not a strike. We cannot call it a strike. It is practically a work refusal. Because MiHoYo is not part of the union. That's as far as we currently are. I think Mujin also made an hour and 22 long video. I will link that in the description if you are interested, because I think he may have covered everything up until now. But yeah, let's just get into it.
Welcome back. Thank you for joining me. Today we've got a very interesting update on Paimon VA Karina Boetker. While Karina's activity on social media seems...
This woman is incredibly unhinged. She is also not that smart. Consider this. She called the people that she wants on her side idiots. Bootlickers. That's not exactly how you get people onto your side, but that's just me, right, chat? That's just me. The huge problem is here that isn't all lies. In her meltdown, she never even talked once about AI protection. Or was it Kaching's voice actor? I think Kaching's voice actor did talk about AI protection. But the funny part is, according to what we have seen in the ref video that I watched, apparently they already have, if it's not mentioned explicitly in the contract that they are going to use your voice AI for AI, that means you can automatically assume that your voice will not be used for AI. That's as far as I know.
to have been decreasing ever since the whole Jacob Takanashi thing, where a number of English voice actors got exposed for being manipulative, toxic, etc., etc. It seems like to
recap with Jacob Takanashi, he took over the role for Kinich. Kinich, I don't know. I think it's Kinich. I could be wrong. I haven't played Genshin in years. Dropped that game off the Kokomi. Regardless, what was said was that he is a scab. He was called a scab by people who are also technically scabbing, like Corina, I don't know, I pronounce it German. It is what it is. He was told that he should give up the role, even though the other guy got fired. There was an article written about this that said that the previous voice actor voiced the character for 5 years. Mind you, the character is like a year old, maybe 2 years, and the game is not even 5 years old. Genshin Impact doesn't exist, it's not 5 years old. Pretty much, there were people attacking him, saying that he knew, and if he didn't know, we don't believe him. So he literally can't win, because if he says he didn't know, then he is supposed to give up, then you don't believe him, and if he said he didn't know, then he's also the villain. He cannot win here. They were also telling him that this is not such an important job. Pretty much what they were saying, that his wife is likely the breadwinner, and like the Kaching voice actor did look up stuff from him. And like a stalker, it's like really weird and shit. I don't know. At this point, we're so far gone from the plot, from the original plot.
Instead, Karina's been very active over on Blue Sky, where Karina and other voice actors in that clique seem to be very upset at those who criticize their actions. Of course, I'm talking about actions such as the harassment of Jacob Takanashi, how a number of these sort of voice actors were lying about their strike, and how it turned out to not even be an official strike, and instead what they're now calling a collective work refusal. So yeah, things like that. Stuff that we've been talking about for the last few weeks on and off. Before we go to Blue Sky and take a look at some of that recent stuff, let's hop over to Karina's TikTok and check out Karina's last TikTok post. Well, not really the post itself, but the comments on it. We can now see comments such as, please ignore all the positive comments.
Please ignore all the positive comments. Can't wait for Paimon's VA recast. Aoi Koga is a better VA than you. Yeah, you never see this stuff from Japanese VAs or Chinese VAs. There's probably maybe it's in other languages as well, maybe Korean, I don't know. But yeah, you never hear at least anything from Chinese and Japanese VAs. It's just the English VAs, nothing else.
Comments. Spoiler alert, there are basically no positive comments anymore anyways. Can't wait for Paimon's VA recast. Ao Koga is better VA than you. Can't wait for the non-problematic VA. Kenichi is better than Paimon, by the way. I hope Paimon has a new VA. I've never hoped that someone would be fired and never...
I'll be honest. They should replace her. I'll be honest. I know that they probably won't do that because Paimon is such a, I don't know, staple in Genshin Impact that it would be hard, but I think that they should replace her. If somebody's that actively against me, my company, why would I work with you?
Ever hired again so much in my life. Get out. Did you find a new job? So this whole time there's no strike. The VAs, especially you, have been throwing a fit, bullied someone who's actually doing his job, mind you, needs the money because he has a family.
Yeah, they pretty much. Also, he has a family, and and he did buy a house just recently. Oh yeah, but it's just a small job. He doesn't need the money.
The rest gets cut off here. I don't know. I can't see the rest of it. Continuing a little bit more though, and yeah, these are all the most liked comments on that TikTok. Can't wait for your replacement. Waiting for your replacement. How are we more mature than a 35-year-old woman? Don't listen to the positive comments. But yeah, I can't even see any positive comments anyways. We gotta recast Paimon. No one wants someone who bullies another VA for something they didn't know. Now then, let's sit back and see the comments roll in. At this point, just pretend nothing happened until the end of the line. You ruined the strike for all your fellow VAs. It goes beyond Kenichi VA now. This is the point of no return anyways. So it's actually pretty hilarious, the stuff that people are coming up with and commenting on there. And that's just a very small sample size. There are literally hundreds of comments just like those. I mean, to be even more specific, there's like 700 plus comments that all seem to be critical. And that's just on Karina's latest video. It seems like that same thing's been happening on a number of videos that Karina has made since the whole Jacob Takanashi thing occurred. Okay, you know what? Here's one more comment I want to show you guys. This is from a different video. So this person says to Karina, "We all love you so much." We all say as our wooden noses grow. I thought that one was pretty clever. But
we all say as our wooden noses grow. All of us are Pinocchio.
okay, now we'll hop over to Blue Sky and take a look at this little rant from Karina.
You're a VTuber model?
Responding to this person, Chris.
You're a VTuber model. Interesting. Never seen this before. Never seen this before. That's interesting. Here, just so you know. Does he occasionally use it? Not all the time? I don't know. Sorry that I'm gonna block you, my friend. My bad.
Crystal, and saying, so you're gonna ignore that you said these alt-right anti-union talking points? You can see a deleted post. So presumably Crystal ended up
also alt-right. Oh yeah, you're against the union. You must be the equivalent to Adolf Hitler. What is this? This is what I could see. Yeah, that's crazy. Oh, you are alt-right because you don't agree with being in the union or agree with my union points. What is this? Not again. Not again. How does this make sense?
Leading the post or something. We got these screenshots. Let's see what this says. Oh my gosh, that's huge. We can't actually see it. Okay, let me fix that somehow. It says, alt-right nonsense? I'm not the right. I only bought politics since a global game is at stake for being unionized. Presumably they mean I'm not on the right and I've only brought up politics since a global game is at stake for being unionized, which would make other countries be upset. I seriously can't believe you think that anyone disagreeing is alt-right. Disgusting behavior by you. And the second screenshot saying, still shouldn't be union, because being union affects other countries' laws and stuff as well. So like I said, Karina and other VAs are upset on their Blue Sky accounts with people who are criticizing their union rhetoric. That takes us back to this thread, where we can once again see Karina responding to that, saying, so you're going to ignore that you said these alt-right anti-union talking points? To which she gets into it with this other guy, Eric. Eric saying, those opinions are not alt-right. You're using a label incorrectly to deflect and discredit a different opinion. Why not ask why they believe what they do? If they are wrong, then provide information, not opinions. And they might change their view. Help us learn and be open to learning from others. But Karina says this. Dane saying that an American union, someone has control over another. Wait, hold on, what? Saying that an American union, someone has control over another country's laws isn't.
You are debating. Would you like to read for would you like to read for your own mistakes and correct them before you post something? Thank you. Saying that an American union, someone has control over another country's laws. What the heck?
In fact, an anti-union alt-right talking point, not an opinion.
Are you stupid? Yes, it has. MiHoYo is a Chinese company. They may not even be able to be part of they might not even be able to go union. This is not an alt-right talking point. There are laws in place that may prevent companies from going union. Man.
Because it is literally not possible. If unions had control over other countries, then fiancé's union for McDonald's Quolls have made every McDonald's worker in the US make way more money and have healthcare.
Can you fucking spell already correctly? Did you make this reply half awake?
Wait, that was such weird phrasing. What the frick? If unions had control over other countries' fiancé's union for McDonald's Quolls have made every. This seems like it could be a copy pasta, bro. Like one of those nonsensical copy pastas. I'm gonna try one last time. If unions had control over other countries, then fiancé's union for McDonald's Quolls have made every McDonald's worker in the US make way more money and have healthcare. Okay. So yeah, then Eric responds and says to
spelling 5 out of 10. Do better.
Karina, your words, including the screenshot we'll take a look at. Unions quote-unquote influence each other. If HoYo signs the SAG contract, SAG could influence unions in other countries. HoYo could have multiple unions in other countries banging down their door with more contracts. Not all of them will be fair and reasonable. Influence can be harmful. And the screenshot included of Karina saying this just the other day. And SAG doesn't have control over other unions in other countries. Unions influence each other, but it's the same thing like the British Actors Union also influences us. That just happens because actors work together. And then Karina goes off saying, China doesn't have unions. We can't influence anything there. Also, it's at
China does not have unions, but China has laws that may prevent MiHoYo from going union. Or make it really hard for MiHoYo to go union. Once again, you are not using your head at all.
Much influence as an influencer telling you to go buy a certain product. They can't bargain on the behalf of workers in another country. Not how that works. Like when the British Union for VAs gets a certain perk that might influence us American VAs to ask for that same perk. But that's like how the frickin' internet works. That is not SAG going on behalf of the workers, which they can't do in other countries. You think it's bad that workers would fight for better working conditions if they see people in certain countries having better working conditions? Because right now, Us in the US, we are actually asking for the same protections our Chinese actors are getting. They influenced us. See how that works? Eric responds, saying, no, I don't think it's bad to fight for better working conditions.
Once again, as far as I'm aware, as long as it is not explicitly stated that your voices are going to be used for AI, you are protected from your voices getting used for AI.
I think your heart is in the right place, but your interactions with people discussing concerns are really making things worse. Karina responds, saying, again, if people are bringing up alt-right anti-union nonsense, like this person originally brought up, that SAG can control other countries' laws, which they can't, that is not a person that is arguing in good faith, and pointing out that this person did that is how conversations work. Eric says, stop labeling someone else's opinion as alt-right just because you don't agree with it or understand it. I keep trying to extend the courtesy to you that you're refusing to give to others. Nobody is bringing your political views into question or dismissing your opinion because they disagree. Karina says, stop trying to label an alt-right talking point as exactly what it is. You're actually not being courteous. Dismissing the truth is actually not courteous at all.
Left-wingers, I feel like left-wingers don't know what right-wing is. It really is. It really is. Everyone that disagrees with me is right-wing, is a Nazi, is Hitler, is a Trump supporter. Like, what are you going to do with these bait or mental retardation? Call it.
I just didn't know, like, Karina was one of these people who constantly goes off about, like, oh, that's alt-right, this is alt-right, blah, 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 blah. So I find that interesting. Here's something else interesting. Because we can see Karina also responding to Noah Gibson saying exactly this. Noah Gibson responds.
This Noah Gibson is such a bootlicker. Like, choke on that Paimon cock. Good God, man.
To a deleted post, presumably the one that Karina was responding to before and going off on before that other individual, Eric, was trying to defend the person that Karina was going off on, who deleted the post. And Noah Gibson, if you watch my prior segments on the Genshin VA stuff, you might remember this person because they gave us one of the most hilarious quotes in the entire Genshin VA situation, which is saying a lot. So back in my video titled Genshin VA for Paimon has complete lost it, we had Karina making that excuse of like, oh, it was just AI. That video of me wasn't actually me, right? Like you can see here. Oh yeah, Noah Gibson said, so this is AI and you've never said this? I agree that YouTubers don't know anything though. Linking to that video of Karina's crash out, which Karina said,
we have the internet. We can see this shit. We can literally see it. We may not know what's going on internally, and to be fair, if we didn't know, it would probably make the entire situation worse. Not for the people that are fighting against the union acting, like trying to monopolize voice acting, but for the people that are in the union and acting like this. We can see it. We have literally voice actors. Let me check. Who was it? Give me a second. Give me a second. Who was it? Let me check. Yeah, Joe Zija. Sija. I will link that in the description. I think I'll link that into the description as well. He made a video about this as well. I will link that in the description as well, so you can look at this.
yes, that is AI. And yes, the YouTubers do know it.
He literally confirmed that the SAG-AFTRA thingy is not a strike. It is literally work refusal.
They just don't care. But then, going back to where we just left off right here, someone responded, Korn specifically, saying, is this not your TikTok account? And linking to that very crash out video on Karina's TikTok account, to which Noah Gibson then said, at Karina, this is bad. You gotta say something fast. You gotta say something fast, Karina. This is bad. They have evidence. You know, stuff that we're allergic to. Evidence. Oh no. Let me also mention this really quick because I forget if I mentioned this before, so I'm just going to stuff it here to be safe.
To be fair, even if you have evidence, they are going to continue to ignore it. That's their average behavior.
But yeah, Noah Gibson does claim to also be a voice artist. Is that like a voice actor, I guess? But yeah, voice artist. And so now going back to the current stuff, we've got Noah Gibson, that person. Once again, Karina seems to like this person a lot. Let's see. Noah Gibson says, "You don't have to be alt-right to fall for anti-union propaganda. Unions are net positive things. I'm in a union at my workplace, so I know firsthand how much they can improve your work environment and wages."
Depends on what their goal is. They are not a net positive here for voice acting because they're trying to monopolize voice acting. There's literally, what they're gonna do is, if Hoyoverse signs the contract, pretty much every VA that is non-union has a limit, a yearly limit, a lifetime limit on how long they are able to work on a project. I think like 90 days. Do with this what you will.
You are heavily uninformed by whoever keeps feeding.
And if they don't do it, if that time is over, they either have to join the union or leave the project.
False information. Karina says exactly this. There is literally verifiable evidence of how SAG-AFTRA has hurt its own members in various ways, something these people seem like they will never admit to. For example, I previously discussed in a different video how SAG-AFTRA changed their own healthcare policies in ways that negatively impacted thousands of their own members, disproportionately also impacting senior members, and these were people who paid into that healthcare plan for decades that SAG then threw under the bus. And those
I feel like this entire union is simply based on one thing, and that is that this entire thing, actually, the entire work refusal was based on one thing: SAG-AFTRA getting greedy and wanting more money. That is literally what it is. And breaking their own rules, because global rule number 1 is you are not allowed to work with companies that are non-union. Which means they are all technically breaking their own rules because they are not allowed to work with MiHoYo.
Those seniors even brought forth litigation against the union, to which SAG then desperately settled out of court. But now going back to the start of this conversation, what kicked this all off, do you remember how Karina was responding to this person, presumably Crystal? I showed these 2 images that were included, where we can then presume Crystal had also said something in this deleted post here. Well, we have an update on Crystal, because it looks like these VAs, like Karina and Noah Gibson, have apparently bullied this person into submission. We can see right here, Crystal ends up saying,
"No, Crystal, what are you doing? It's not a strike. It's not a strike. They bullied them into submission. No! F to a fallen warrior."
this. "I messed up. I'm sorry. I didn't fully understand the strike. I wasn't well informed, even with what I learned of the strike. I thought that someone was being a bully by calling someone a scab. Little did I know, it was just a term when someone crossed the picket line. I thought that scab meant a scab on society, so that's why I was saying that the VA was a bully and that I don't support them. If I knew that there were 2 meanings of scab instead of 1, then I wouldn't have viewed it as bullying. When I kept seeing the word scab being used by that VA, I thought they were purposely bullying them. I know that my words for saying that VA was a bully may have hurt all VA. I am with all VA because I thought, well, since this person said scab, that they mean a scab on society, block. I know that this apology won't be forgiven for who have called a bully and that my misunderstanding of the word scab. I now know the 2 definitions of them and what they mean. Thank you for reading this if you have come this far. At Karina, I'm sorry." And Karina responds saying, "Hey, no worries. Misunderstandings happen. This is why I wanted to believe you and kept talking to you yesterday. I'm glad that we can come to this understanding now, and you still don't have to like me. I know I am prickly as a person, especially over text, but you're clearly a good person, and you doing this shows how good of a person you are." This is such gaslighting, because the word scab is an insult. It's not just a term for when someone crosses.
I thought it was an insult as well. They gaslighted this person into believing that they did something wrong. Ain't no way. This woman, this person, this lady, Paimon VA, is a horrible person. Absolutely horrible.
The picket line, they literally, in union history, this term was literally chosen to be a nasty sounding word. It's intentional. Like, it's not just coincidence that scab is like, oh, a scab from like a wound or whatever. And they also use the word scab in this context too, regarding this union stuff. No, it's very specific why they picked that word. Back in the 18th and 19th century, the word scab also apparently evolving from the word scoundrel. And so if Karina was honest, in my opinion, what Karina should do here is explain,
Damn, so scab pretty much means broken down from. It pretty much means scoundrel. That is terrible. Imagine being called that.
what scab really means and that it is indeed an insult. But of course, Karina isn't going to mention that, right? Of course. No, instead they're happy to try and mislead people into, oh no, we would never bully anyone, harass Jacob Takanashi, or harass anyone, bully anyone. No, of course not. And so part of the reason I wanted to talk about that was because it was also giving me flashbacks to when Karina was basically bullying this person, this YouTuber Darkos88, because you probably are familiar with this by now, but quick TLDR, Darkos88, according to my recollection, made a YouTube short that was talking about how Karina was trying to get people on TikTok to email Hoyoverse demanding that Hoyoverse sign their agreement, the union agreement, or however they're phrasing it for their strike or whatever they want to call it. And so people in the responses to that YouTube short were saying like, no, don't do this. The agreement's probably bad for X, Y, and Z, going and listing reasons why they disagree with what Karina was demanding. But essentially they were saying like, no, don't listen to Karina and definitely don't email Hoyoverse demanding that they sign this agreement. And so Darkos88 then made a follow-up video, saying that he was basically sorry for blindly just going along with whatever Karina had said, and that he should have looked into the situation more, and he sees the critiques that people have towards the union agreement, or once again, however they're phrasing it now. And this ultimately led to Karina seemingly making that crash out video that's now become like iconic.
Damn. Yeah, the crash out video. Okay. So she. Okay, interesting. So he said that he shouldn't have not gone along with. Interesting.
And also this whole rant on Twitter that you're only seeing a part of here, but basically being very toxic towards Darkos88 over this, and eventually getting Darkos88 to delete the video and even apologize. And it just reminded me of how she was treating that person over on Blue Sky too.
Oh, Darkos, you cannot give in to this person, man. Why do all these people that go against them fold so easily?
And in closing, this all circles me back to Jacob Takanashi and how we saw VAs like Karina attempting to bully Jacob into submission. And in this case, submission probably wasn't just apologizing, but also giving up the role because they were so upset that he replaced John.
Classic Twitter user. Remember, guys, if you are a content creator and you go against, if you say certain things that a certain group on Twitter does not like, particularly the Twitter freaks, do not give in to them. Because if you do, they will continue to do it. Apologizing is not enough. They want submission. And if you do anything ever again, they will constantly bring it up. You will never get rid of it again. Don't give in to Twitter freaks. In this case, Blue Sky freaks.
On Pat Noir, I think the name was, as he hadn't voiced the role for like 6 months, was refusing to work for like 6 months, a part of this collective work refusal thing. So Jacob Takanashi accepts the role, very grateful for the work, very thankful for the job, and all these other VAs team up on him and harass him. In this case, trying to get him to submit to their demands, which was probably not simply an apology, but also giving up the role. And as we all know, that ended up backfiring tremendously on these VAs, but we can still see how some of them are on Blue Sky. For example, in this video, Karina and Noah, as we went over, are still trying to insult people who dared criticize the union, therefore then labeling them alt-right and trying to get them to apologize, etc., etc. And it's really impressive, actually. It's astonishing how stubborn these VAs are, receiving so much reasonable criticism from people, pointing out issues with how they treat others and issues with their rhetoric, and what do? Oh, they double.
Because they need to maintain the agenda. They need to maintain the agenda.
Down. That's what they do. Yeah, this ain't character growth. This is like negative character growth from these people. That's where I'll leave this one. As always, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you did, please consider liking and or subscribing to the channel. Appreciate you. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.
This whole thing is just getting... I don't know, we're bullying people into submission, even though they're correct. We're gaslighting people. We are changing the term. We're making people forced to change the change certain derogatory terminology like scab. At this point, I don't know. I'm repeating myself at this point. Just fire the people that go against you. You will find people willing to do the work that is necessary. You will find people. You will find people. But again, it is what it is. The problem feels like they are continuing to maintain the agenda, because going back, it's like I've seen the meme, like when you're clearly wrong, but you have no way of going back, so you gotta continue with it even if you're wrong. This is what it is, right? This is what it is. You're wrong, but you have to still go along because you don't want to look like a dumbass. That's what it is. I don't know what else to say besides these VAs should lose their job. I know that Paimon likely won't, the Paimon woman, but we'll see what happens in the future. I have no idea. It may get worse, it may not get worse. Like I said, I'll link a couple of videos in the description for you to look better at this. But yeah,